course.
All right, welcome to the Lakers room, man. Obviously, we do Lakers room conversations. I finally get to do a matchup with tonight's op, man. We got a big one tonight versus the OKC Thunder, and we got to give them all respect. The defending champion Thunder, most likely the favorite to repeat this season, even though we're not too worried about Vegas odds because we see they got us as a 9.5-point underdog tonight, which is insane. All respect to the Thunder, but I don't agree with that one. But we got my guy from Thunder Talk. Is it Thunder Talk YT? What's the YT on there?
It's just for YouTube, just to kind of direct people over to the YouTube because I'm on all the socials. And so Thunder Talk itself is taken. There's like a bunch of other like podcasts and gaming stuff. So I wanted to differentiate a little bit.
Okay, give us a little bit of your history, man. Like, how far back does your fanhood of the Thunder go? Were you a Sonics fan? Like, give us just some of you. How'd you start the channel?
Yeah. So I've been a fan since 2011. Pretty much that Russ KD era kind of got me into basketball, and then outside of college, I decided to kind of make NBA content, and then kind of landed into the Thunder space, being a fan of it, of itself. And then also there was a big creator at the time, if you're familiar with the name 3Cone. He kind of got on the spotlight for the Thunder, making content for them. And you probably make content the same reason. Like, we see ESPN analysis and we're like, nah, like we can do something better, more for the fans, and highlight things that they may not see on a day-to-day basis versus, we're covering the sport. We're also seeing things that may be happening in the locker room, reporting on special news rather than just having, maybe a 1 or 2 game sample size and commentating about it. Like, you're watching every single game, I'm watching every single game, and then we're able to analyze in a different way rather than, what the current sports media is doing. So.
Yeah, no, 100%. It's almost like the barrier in between, like, that the real consumer, the real diehard fan. To me, I look at it like almost like rap, like mainstream versus underground. We are pillars of the underground. We're providing the people that really want it every day, day in, day out, not just the hot takes that are going on ESPN and debate shows. But okay, so you say you go back to 2011. Who's your favorite Thunder player of all time?
It's definitely Russell Westbrook. I mean, the energy, the playing hard every single day. You probably have that same thought of, I see the Kobe mural over there. So it's the same kind of energy, right? Like, he didn't win the championships, whatever, but he still brought that same, like, I'm just going to crush you every single time I'm on the court. And it's old school, and I like that. And SGA's kind of got that similar vibe. Like, it's not as talkative or performative maybe, but he's doing it in a more silent manner where he'll kind of shade you on Instagram or on the court. Like, he'll hit a shot and he'll celebrate, but he's not doing anything, post game. He's always composed. So 2 different ways of doing it, but still a lot of, killers on the court. And we'll see Luka Doncic too. He's more of a talker, and he's definitely a favorite of mine. Like, I'm a NBA just head in general, and he's brought a lot of old school hoops, to the new age. And he's also, dominant on the 3-point line, but he can kind of crush you pretty much everywhere from an offensive level. Like, one of the best 3-way, crush you in the paint, crush you in the mid-range, 3-point line, like, pretty much impossible to guard.
I know you don't speak for all Thunder fans. How do you feel about, like, the free throw merchant thing that gets thrown out there and everything?
Oh man. Yeah. I feel like it's just hating to hate at this point, because there's not really many things you can point to SGA. Like, he's got the family life locked down. He's got the consistency on and off the court, like, got the shoe deal. And his game's evolved to where he's even gotten the 3-point range, this season. So it's like, it's so hard for NBA fans to pinpoint the hate towards him. And so they can't take off the court digs. So they have to do something on the court. And that's one of the few things that they can point towards. But Luka Doncic is the same way. He gets to the line just as much. And we just don't hear it from that angle because his game is a lot more flashy. SGA has a more grounded game. Like, it's a lot more focused on, like, the mid-range. And he's probably one of the few guys that are doing it like Kevin Durant does that as well. And so there's always going to be some sort of hate. And I've mentioned this on the podcast a lot. Russell Westbrook used to get a lot of hate, and him being an ex-Laker, I know there was a lot of hate from that time, but he averaged like 18, 8, and 8 when he was with you guys. Really productive, right? Like, he's been productive his whole career. He has deficiencies, and he'd probably even say it, like, he knows what his deficiencies are and he kind of admits them, but fans are going to take digs at you regardless. And you kind of just have to, push them off. And you never hear like Russ, Luca, SGA even mention any of the digs that are taken at them because they know what their deficiencies are, but they know like they're way better players regardless on the court. So
Yeah, absolutely. And I'll say Russell, it was just more of I feel like a Russell Westbrook and LeBron thing because their games just didn't mesh together. But yeah, no, he was
yeah.
absolutely productive for sure. Now, what I'll ask you is this, because I want to get into this year's team, but I want you to kind of reflect on like last year's team for me. Winning that first championship, what was that like? Like what was the parade? Like I don't know if you went to the parade, like what was just the moment?
Yeah. I didn't get to go to the parade. I watched the live stream and got to kind of experience the win that way, but it was pretty much like a surreal feeling. Like I know Lakers fans have won many championships, so that feeling may not be the same, but on my end, like that's our first one in their history, like since they came over from Seattle. And I just honestly, when I was a young fan, like I just didn't think we'd ever get back to the finals. We'd even have the opportunity to win a championship after, you get three historic players in Harden, Russ, and KD. And then you never know when that opportunity is going to come back. I remind NBA fans like winning a championship is one of the hardest things. Pacers fans probably feeling that effect right now. Like they had their star player get hurt. They don't know when they're going to get back into the finals or even have that opportunity. It's just such a rare air and rare feeling to get. And so the fact that we even got one, I just wanted one in my lifetime as a fan. And most fan bases probably agree with that, unless you're like a Celtics fans, a Lakers fan, those
Yeah.
organizations win them more often because they're big markets and they're going to attract the, good players. Thunder
Mhm.
is a small OKC in itself is a small market. So having a small market win one is huge. And yeah, surreal feeling. So if we win one this year or not, like I still can hold on to that for the rest of my life and be like, we got one. That's all that matters. And that's how most Thunder fans probably feel. But they also obviously want to win more. Like we have the opportunity this year. This is a great year to win one. There's a lot of injury bugs riddled around the league, and the Eastern Conference is as weak as it can get. We don't have to worry about Giannis this year. So there's this opportunity here where I feel like the top four teams out West are kind of battling for essentially whoever they're going to beat, probably the Celtics out East. So it's the Nuggets, the Thunder, the Spurs, and obviously the Lakers that are kind of vying for it. And so that second round matchup between all four of these teams, that's kind of my prediction. They'll probably be facing off against each other.
Mhm.
And so it's really going to be dependent on who wins those slight matchups. So excited for it.
Yeah, I would say the Thunder are constructed to really make a run at. I mean, I don't like to throw around the dynasty word, but being like one run ring is cool. But yeah, I think the Thunder got a chance. Now, what I'll say is this: I've looked at the team this year. I've seen how they came out the gates, and then it felt like you obviously sometimes you get bored, especially during the regular season stuff. Can you compare last year's team to this year so far, and what might have you hopeful about the chances?
Yeah. Last year I feel like we had a lot less depth, and I know, you'll get in, conversation with me about that later on, but last year's team didn't feel as, dominant as this year's team. I'll be honest, with the emergence of AJ, the trade for McCain on the roster, adding the amount of three-point shooting that we've added, now we're able to compete with a team like the Celtics, compete with a hot shooting team like the Lakers, whereas before it was just we're solely relying on defense and SGA to kind of carry us and J-Dub to carry us. Now we have more names in the hat, and all of them have improved as well. Like Hartenstein's improved, Chet Holmgren's become an all-star. So each of them have that level of improvement. And along with that, the same level of consistency, the same core. The coach has gotten better this year as well. That was one of my complaints during that run was like, okay, like there's some games against the Nuggets that we let slip right at the end. And obviously we still won that series despite that, but this time around we wouldn't make those same mistakes. And there's been close games where if you saw the Thunder games, we used to foul late in the game and, do a free throw battle. And now we don't do that anymore because those were games that, we lost in the playoffs. And so we've learned and improved. And this team is young. This is still like a top 5 youngest team in the NBA. So each of the guys that are on there are like second, third year guys outside of SGA, right? So they're all
Yeah.
improving right along with the roster, which is a rare thing. Like this was exactly what was supposed to happen with that Russ, KD, Harden team, but it ended up just not happening in this way. And this time around, these guys are like playing for each other, and the culture, like Sam Presti learned from that previous era, like he's going to build the culture first and have these guys fully committed to being in OKC. All the guys that come here, like Hartenstein is a recent acquisition, but he's the one that's mostly out in the community doing things with the community, right? And that's
Mhm.
rare for guys that come in to Oklahoma. That they love it as much as they do, and get involved with the community. And it shows that they don't want to just leave the Thunder. Usually, guys are leaving when the depth is just too much. Like a recent guy that just left the roster was Usman Dang this season, and he's on the Bucks tearing it up. He just had a 36-point career high, and he's our 15th man on the roster. So there's plenty of talent that comes out of OKC that we just can't retain. But the guys that are here want to be here.
Yeah, and that's the thing that does scare me. Like looking forward to the postseason, like in a potential second round matchup, let's say with the Spurs, most likely first, but the Spurs or Thunder, both the teams at the top of the West, is the depth for sure. Like that's the one thing. Now, what I'll say is we have a small sample size between the Luka Lakers and the Thunder. Like I know he got thrown out the game last season. We had just won the game right before that. You guys blew us off the court when you played us earlier this season, and then I don't think he played. I don't think SGA played in the last game we played against you guys either. They got you
Yeah,
guys
yeah.
as 9.5-point favorites. What do you feel about that? And let's start just with your outlook on the game tonight and prediction, maybe.
Yeah. I think this is, as far as like score prediction, I think it'll at least be like a 8-point game, maybe 5-point game, something around that. Whether it's the Lakers side or the Thunder side winning, that's going to be a 50-50 shot on a game like this with them pretty much being healthy. But I don't have them covering a spread in this situation, even with Marcus Smart out. And I think Alex Caruso is still questionable. That'll be released whether he's playing later on. So kind of missing both players that are kind of tit for tat. And so the rest of the roster is right there, for the taking. And so I think it'll be a closer game than what the odds makers are making it out to be. But we've always been favorites in every game nearly by 10 plus. Last season, we're 15 plus favorites in most games. So I feel like that's still giving you guys props for, being a third seed, but also just having Luka Doncic out there. I feel like as the game gets closer, the line will shrink a little bit. So that's at least the hope.
Okay. What do you think about Luka's game and his late season surge toward MVP? And like, do you feel like he deserves a shot at it versus like, let's say SGA or Jokic or?
Yeah. Lakers fans are gonna probably hate me for saying this, but I just gotta, not just being even a Thunder fan, but just as a NBA head, like you don't win MVP with one good month. I feel like he's had a great season overall, but the main difference is the win column. Like the Spurs and Thunder kind of just 8 to 10 games above where the Lakers are currently. So if they had won a little bit earlier in the season, also the Lakers' record against the Western Conference isn't as good as what they've done against the Eastern Conference. So if they had won more games against the West, they could have a little bit better of a record. And, maybe if they were competing for that first seed or second seed and they were in the conversation right now, I feel like he'd be more in the conversation. As far as from like a numbers perspective, like he's clearly improved his averages even before March, and how much you guys have won. I think you guys have only lost like 2 games out of the past like 17 or something like that. So huge run for them, but you don't really win it just right at the end. You kind of win it throughout the whole season. And that's something that Wemby and SGA kind of hang their hats on, because they've won from the beginning, even though the Thunder had that little slip up against the Spurs and lost a couple games and then lost a couple games in between there. But I feel like that was more like midseason lulls. The All-Star game was coming about, and it was like that 1 month where they just kind of lost focus, had a couple of injuries. We had like AJ Mitchell out. We had J-Dub out at the time. So just a couple of injuries right there. And but right now we're kind of tit for tat for that first seed. And if the Lakers were competing for it, I feel like the conversation would be louder for him. But that's just not the case. And also, now defense is also brought into the conversation by analysts and everyone looking at the game. And that's where Luka kind of loses points as well. Like if he's definitely improved this season. Like I've watched a couple games. He's definitely sitting down in the chair, getting in the defensive stance, and like maybe not from like every single game, but the games that you guys need him to. And especially in the fourth quarters, like he's doing his part, and that's all you can ask for from a, Luka Doncic. So.
Yeah, I mean, I can see it on the win column thing. I think he should be right there. I feel like I don't know how many player of the months he's won, but he's had a really like great season from day one. But yeah, I can see it. Like he hasn't paced with the Spurs or the Thunder, but I think a lot of the times, just how LA media can help you, it can also hurt you. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
but obviously, we'll see. I think SGA is probably going to win it because he's been, the front runner all season. It might end up being a wire-to-wire victory, but I think Luka, at least, I think he deserves to be ahead of Jokic for sure. And I think him and Wemby should be almost right there. But I guess we'll see. All right, so for tonight's game, and really in general, because we could see you guys in the postseason, who are some players other than obviously SGA, Chet Holmgren? Who are some players that Lakers fans should be worried about or looking out for?
Yeah, the couple things that I'm looking out for when I did my pregame show was Lou Dort on Luka Doncic. Obviously, they've seen him in a full matchup series against when we faced off against the Mavericks, but that's going to be something that's huge. Obviously, most fans are aware of Lou Dort at this point with all the memes around him. The other X factor, the name that most people don't recognize, is AJ Mitchell. I mean, he's our sixth man. He could be a sixth man of the year candidate. He did have a couple injuries, but for us, in the last game, he put up 14 points for the season. He's averaging around 14 points currently. And I feel like for a six man, he's kind of going under the radar. Definitely a name to mention. He's way better than his numbers. Like if he was not on the Thunder, he's a starter anywhere else. And he's like, a second year player. He's just amazing. 6'4", super controlled, plays similar to the SGA style. Maybe doesn't get to the line as much as an SGA does, but still efficient. He just had a great season, and he's just like someone that you didn't think would be in this position because he's actually a second-round pick. So most people don't know who he is. He's not like some headliner or anything like that, but he's probably he's our second most important player this whole season because we've missed J-Dub the whole season. So he's been the guy that's carrying the offensive load as the secondary creator. So when you guys see him out there with the second unit, he's going to be super impactful, scoring wise, assisting, and he's top rated in defense. He's a top 10 guard defender in the league. So he gets super underrated. Like the numbers don't show, exactly the type of player he is and how much he helps this team. Because without him, that stretch that we were on where we lost games, that was pretty much the stretch where we didn't have him and J-Dub. So he's crucial for us winning games.
No, that's a fantastic answer, man. All right, what are the weaknesses of the Thunder?
Yeah, the place that most teams catch us off guard is having more size than us, and that's one thing the Lakers do have in their favor. If they can beat us on the boards, essentially it depends on Chet and iHeart to get rebounds. If we don't get rebounding production from them, and if coaches could, get their team, like if in this game, the Lakers game plan from JJ Redick was just to crash the boards alone, that would give you guys a higher chance than most other teams because that's something that teams don't focus on. Our guards don't really rebound the ball that much outside of SGA and J-Dub maybe. So that's something that we really struggle with. We have a lot of shorter 6'3", 6'4" guards like Isaiah Joe, AJ, Cason Wallace, Alex Caruso, a little bit on the shorter end when it comes to each of their positions when they come off the bench. So teams can beat us up on the boards. Chet's a little bit skinnier. You can get boards on him at times. So that's something that if, the team focuses on, definitely create more possessions. It's an underrated part of basketball, but not many teams focus on that. And the other part is just hitting a lot of corner shots. Luka Doncic is aware of the game plan. He knows exactly how to beat us from that perspective. So if, on the Lakers end, if they get, some hot streak from their role players, that's really going to be what counts for this game because we're going to be double, triple teaming Luka the whole game. So he'll still probably get 30, 8 and 8 or something. But the rest of the role players, if they can hit their shots, that's going to be really what swings this game. So that's what I'm looking forward to. Which role players win? Usually the Thunder role players outcompete and, beat most of the other franchises. But tonight we'll see what the Lakers can do.
Yeah, I think honestly, and I feel like the Lakers are going to win tonight. And not being objective, truthfully, I think the way that they could win is we're going to have to slow it down for one. Like if we get into a transition game with the Thunder or start turning the ball over a lot, which obviously you guys force a lot of turnovers, you guys are going to blow our doors off. If we can kind of control the half court and not turn the ball over, limit those, live in the paint, and the X factors for us tonight will be DeAndre Ayton, Jackson Hayes, and Jake LaRavia. those would
Yep.
be the guys, because Luka's going to get his numbers. LeBron is comfortable in his role. Austin Reeves is another X factor, because Austin Reeves can be hit or miss sometimes against these defensive teams, especially the physical contenders like the Thunder obviously are. So, but I do believe the Lakers have a shot at winning, and I think some of it might even go to it being the game is more important to us. Right now it's almost like how we always get every team's best shot. We're going to give you guys our best shot tonight, and I know that for absolute certainty. So that's what I believe, and that's how I believe we can win. Now, the last question that I kind of have for you, because I feel like it's been a roller coaster season, but even you being a Thunder fan, I'm sure you hear about the Lakers every day. So there's 40 Laker fan pages, 50 Laker media pages, it's Lakers everything.
Yep.
Do you see the Lakers as a contender this year?
Yes, yeah. I mentioned it early, like the 4 teams that could come out of the West are pretty much all contenders for winning a championship this season, especially with the late game surge. And something I've seen different is LeBron's kind of flipped the switch, kind of gone obviously 0 dark 30 in this moment. And this could be one of his final opportunities to really win a championship. So he's going to lay it out all out there. And having Luka Doncic as your running bait, and you guys have also not had a fully healthy season with Reeves, LeBron, and Luka, having the opportunity to gel, and the fact that you guys had that March run going into the playoffs as a hot team. Like, I feel like all the Western Conference teams are all on a 8 to 9 game win streak right now in their past 10 games. I was looking at the standings here earlier, and they're pretty much all hot going into the playoffs. We haven't seen a run like this in pretty much forever. So this is going to be the most entertaining Western Conference playoffs pretty much in like the past decade, if I could think of one. So there's a lot of storylines between LeBron, SGA trying to go back to back, Wemby trying to cement himself as like the face of the league, and then obviously Jokic is always going to be in the mix with their team. Their team's gotten younger, more improved. It's going to be just a huge battle. So I do consider you guys contenders. I don't know, like when Stephen A gets on there and he's like, "Oh, the Lakers aren't contenders," whatever. It's like, no, that's absolutely not right. So.
Yeah, with no actual objective analysis behind it. But yeah, man, this is amazing. I think we play you guys next week, so we can absolutely do this again. And I want to see how this game goes. I'll probably be too anxious to do any post game because I'm about to really dial this up like it's a playoff game. But actually, one random question I have for you. You guys are the first seed. Who are you rather? The Clippers with Kawhi, and this is not the 7-21 Clippers, or the Phoenix Suns? That's going to be tough either way it goes.
Yeah. We just did an episode on that, and we're covering like a preview for our members on the Bring the Thunder podcast. And essentially, I was advocating for playing the Clippers because I don't want to see a Suns team fully healthy. Like, they're not fully healthy right now, but if Dylan Brooks gets back in time, facing off against the Devin Booker, there's more depth talent to deal with, which can prolong a series versus the Clippers team doesn't have as much depth. They have a good starting 5 lineup, but I don't feel like their depth could do as much damage as the Suns team. This Suns team has pretty much, redeveloped itself into a different team right now around Devin Booker, and they look a lot more mobile than they used to be, a lot younger. And I'm a little bit more scared of them facing off against them, even though it is Kawhi Leonard. But I think we have enough pieces to kind of throw at Kawhi versus there's not enough defensive pieces. It'll be a defensive offensive battle. And that's not something I want to get into, because one of the things that I mentioned against the Lakers is we lack in 3-point shooting, and the Suns can light it up versus a Clippers team a little bit older on the older end. They did, get 2 younger acquisitions, and Darius Garland and the kid from the Pacers as well. So they've helped themselves a little bit, but I feel like they're more of like a 6-man rotation versus a 10-man. And I'm always more scared of more depth personally. And that's what wins in the NBA currently. So,
yeah. No, it's funny. I asked the question because I was just thinking about it. I was looking at the standings, and I made a slight post about it, but I'm like, I think it almost bodes better for the Suns if they play OKC and bodes better for the Clippers if they play San Antonio. And because Kawhi going into San Antonio versus everything you also just said for the Suns. So I think those teams want to almost see it the other way, but I appreciate you, man, for coming on. I'm always here to talk basketball, even outside of the Lakers for sure. But anything you want to leave us with?
Yes, we'll be live for a post-game recap after every single game for the season for the Thunder versus Lakers. And I'm going to invite you right now to join us for that. I can send you the link. Just join up, even if it's for like 5-10 minutes. I think it'd be great to have, your fan base and your idea of how the game went, whether we lose or win. I know there's going to be like over 1,000 people in there. There always is when we're facing off against the Lakers. So would love to have you on, man.
I'll jump in. Absolutely. For sure.
Awesome, bro.
All right.
Sweet.
Thank you. Lakers Thunder, 6:30 tonight, 6:30 Pacific time. I got the Lakers, but we're going to see how it goes, man. Thank you, man. Appreciate you.
Of course, bro.